Next item is district goals.
I just wanted to get to the board. I think we're close to being final, at least on the academic achievement and school culture, and then I threw on there the finance and performance, the finance and the facilities and operations. The benchmarks are all in place. I sent some of the additional reading and support from ACT on that. Student average daily attendance, our goal is 95%. I pulled the last 2 years of attendance and looked at our ADA minus truancies, and just with students calling in sick and those types of absences, and it was right around 95 to 95.5%. But when we added our truancy in, which is students cutting class or being not calling in, we went down to like 94. In 1 or 2 months we had 93. So I want to shoot for 95% average daily attendance, which the state figures out by your best 3 months of your attendance. And this is also directly tied into the state aid formula for money. And in regards to matriculation rate, percent of eligible cohort enrolling in a 2 or 4 year school, we also wanted to include technical school or military. So basically the goal for the administration is to come up with a post-graduation, make sure we have on file a post-graduation plan for every senior, so that we can identify if they're going off into technical school, military, 2 or 4 year college. We'll also be able to document then if they're planning on just going right into the workforce. Engagement, we didn't really, we want to shoot for 100%. That would be our overall goal. We know, the board and I both know that this will be tough because we continue with the pay to participate, but the overall goal is to try to get every student involved in one activity. And the AP students with passing scores of percent of scores greater than 3%, we want to look for continual growth with that. We checked through all of our documents with the College Board, and they do not rate high schools on the percent of scores greater than 3, or some schools individually calculate it by hand, but we could not find anything from the College Board where they calculate a percentage of scores greater than 3 or better, where they rank schools like we were able to with the ACT. However, with AP Equity and Excellence, the College Board does put out an annual report on that, and that's right now the percentage of a graduating class. How many students from the percentage of the graduating class have passed at least one AP test? So we set the goal of at least 75% on that. Any questions on academic achievement or school culture? Those are just the final few that I wanted to clean up for the board.
And the last one you mentioned then is the 51% 51 to 75%, or is
51% of the graduating class from 2012.
Okay. All right.
You don't have a percent in the percent graduating class greater than 21 for your English, math, reading, science, ACT benchmarks.
They're kind of, if you look, they're tabbed in because the college readiness, the goal is to get 100% graduation rate to 21. So we wanted to have the goal would eventually be to have everybody on par with those sub benchmarks.
So it's the same one then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I put on their finance, because the end of the year fund balance should equal the budget's projected fund balance. And I put on their research and identify revenue enhancement for the district. And then facilities and operations, we know we have a new collective bargaining agreement with the RBA, a capital outlay plan, which is a repair and maintenance schedule for the district facilities, and then a technology plan aligned to supporting academic achievement.
Well, on the end of your fund balance, do we need to clarify it? Is it cash basis based on the current information? Because last year we had a discussion whether it was cash or accrual basis, and then when we were no longer self-insured, it made a big jump in what our end of year fund balance was.
Tim, I'll direct that one to you.
Yeah, I think it should specify that it's cash basis, so it's not based on the accrued numbers in the AFR.
But are there other factors that could change it without us doing anything? Like, I mean, really, all we did was, when we went from the self-insurance, took it out, our cash reserve balance just went up for the adjustment for taking the self-insurance out. Are there other factors that could do the same thing?
No, that's really the major thing that was both an expenditure and a revenue, and it kind of was on both sides of it, so there shouldn't be anything else that would impact.
Any other questions for Kevin on district goals?
And what's the two numbers for again, Kevin? Why is it 29.9 and 23?
Budgeted projected was 23.3,
Okay.
and we came in at 29.9.
Okay. Thank you.
Laura?
Didn't we have one more goal on communication?
There was a goal on communication. I didn't know, we had implemented a communication plan. So unless the board wants to tell me to add something, don't know, if there's something specific that the board, I mean, we could leave it on there and right now to be determined, the header at least, so that, or continue to maintain and evaluate the district's communication strategies, something of that nature.
How do you place a score on it?
Well, it was important that when we
I
developed
agree with you.
communication, so it could be determined and we can get more information on gathering metrics, but one of them maybe could be surveys with our community. How do you think we're doing kind of things. Are we getting good feedback from our community? Are we interacting with our intergovernmental? That's also communication, so it's kind of our relationship out.
Yeah.
Because we are a major entity in this community, and we're, and tax dollars support us from all 5 communities. So we need to know how well we're integrated into the community, and do we have a two-way road in communication with them?
So, I remember the discussion earlier. We were also looking at new avenues like Twitter accounts and blasting information out that way.
Well, right, and is there information transparent?
that would
Just
be a
everything
goal?
we've done on the website, is that enough? Do people appreciate that these board meetings are being broadcasted?
Mm-hmm.
Are they finding things on the website? We've done a lot of things, and we should check on that. We should monitor that we are still meeting the needs of the stakeholders of this district.
Yeah. I regularly read my Nixle reports on email, but I don't get anything on a regular basis from the district myself, which could happen on the, with the same type of regularity and as Nixle.
When you say you don't get,
Well,
on the email, I mean, we pretty much only send out those skyward blasts when
Yeah.
there's important.
well,
We don't send out a newsletter.
Yeah, right. Well, we could.
We got to staff that person.
Yeah, that's right. It couldn't be a volunteer. Well,
But-
you're right. You're
So what we have done this year is we have used, we have done some customer satisfaction surveys. We've done 2 or 3 so far. We did one on the residency. We sent them a 10-question survey to all the parents for feedback on how they felt registering their student went, and what kind of feedback we had on that. We did one on parent-teacher conferences, and we have one that's getting ready to go out on this current course selection for incoming 8th graders, so that we can get feedback and help us with planning and customer service in regards to that. So we can continue to do some methods like that.
But I think it's important that the stakeholder base be expanded beyond the parents, because the school is funded not only by the parents who send their kids here, but by all families who live in district. And so if anybody wanted to know, how's that high school doing, how's that large building by the zoo doing, they should be able to click on our website and, see the news. If you do click on, you see what's happening, who's going to state, the different performances. If we ever had to run a referendum, you would want, the community should be very acutely aware of our needs. It shouldn't be the first time they hear that we need to run a referendum, if we ever had to. So how do we maintain that conversation? And that might just be making sure that that information is always on the website, and not only to Skyward, not only to the families who are in this building.
But isn't, Pam, the website have a lot of information about the school activities and everything else we have right now?
All press releases get posted to the website.
Yes.
Well, Kevin, what if, I think maybe what Laura's going at is, should we test of whether really people think we think our communication got better, but we have some limited research which appear to be all with students or families that are present, but
Right.
it's not telling us whether other community members that don't have students here feel like we're communicating very well for them. So and we've, at the conference and stuff, looked at that. A lot of school districts have done a survey, like, do you get information? How do you like to get it? Emails, press releases, or
We
whatever?
did send a communication survey, but I think it was through Skyward.
So, again,
So that's, once again, it's just that limited customer base.
But I also like to remind everybody too is, how many people read the Riverside or Brookfield Public Library newsletter that they get? How many people read the Village of Brookfield public quarterly announcement on what they're doing? How many people, if the board feels that this is a that you want to use a communication tool to the community, to do that, they're going to have to set aside some funds or staffing to make that happen.
I disagree with that, because it's very simple nowadays. All you have to do is, we could get a mailing list. People could sign up an emailing list. All we have to do is send out, community notices in some way, if it's like when we're having the performance or something of that nature. I mean, it's very easy. We don't have to print anything up. We can just send it out.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with John on this. If we had a blast out there that had links on it, I don't regularly read the Clarion, but I should be reading the Clarion more often than I do. But I regularly, you're right. You go out there. What are the first things? What do you do regularly? You read your email every day. I do.
Right.
But I don't regularly go to the RBHS website. I probably would if there was a little blue link on a blasted email that said, "Hey, gotta look at this new article in the Clarion."
I think
we might even get our volunteer staff of students to help do that.
We still just have to figure out a way to sign up non-school parents.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be too hard.
Well, in Brookfield, I imagine a lot of communities do that, but they have, it doesn't come often, but they have kind of like a little newsletter that comes periodically through the email, and they will have a blast, just like Dan said, if you want it, Dan and John said, if you want it, sign up. And I have to tell you, when those blasts come, they're very short, they have a link, but there's many activities that I've gone to because of that little email, like Meet the Creek, or the plant swap, or the winter movie nights for families, or, when those things come to your email box and you click on it. So when we have our spring musical or our plays or things like that, or our, the sports or the different footballs or homecoming, a short little blast, somebody can click on it. The football games here are great activities for the community. People don't even have students here anymore. They come and they meet former families and...
Laura, I lived in the Village of Brookfield for over 20 years, and I've never received an email blast or anything on activities in Brookfield. And in fact, I'm a village official, serving on the zoning board of appeals.
And you didn't sign up.
So what I'm saying right now is, if it was coming up, I would have got that. And
There are a couple options that we can look into.
The internet's only been here, Matt, for, since
Well,
Al Gore invented it.
I'd say we're
So
talking
I
about
just don't,
goals right now.
Never got 120.
We're not talking about,
Right.
it's not on the agenda, develop a communication plan. So the question is, Kevin, does it make sense for us to set a goal to see not what our view of whether our communication's gotten better, but what the public and the community's view is in looking at other alternatives than what we're using right
Step
now?
one.
Is that a useful goal, and is it something that can
Absolutely can be.
be accomplished with the resources that we have for
Well, what I
next
at least
year?
can do is report back to the board. It's a district goal. Report back to say, I have used some freelance, some purchase service where I've had some purchase service. I do have a purchase service agreement with someone to help assist with writing press releases and drafting messages to get messages out on a couple of initiatives that we did at the school. Nexel does offer like a non-community alert system that community members can sign up for. I think it's about $6,000. But then that's the way it can go, similar to like the police one does. We can send out blasts that way. But those are tools that if you're going to spend that money or you're going to do some of those things, you either need a stipend or a person or someone that on a regular basis is going out and collecting all those stories.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to respect what you and Matt have said, but you and Pam have done an awesome job on redoing the website. I'd like to see more people see it.
Sure.
And if you have an easy to link on it, man, that'd be great.
Well, and just also looking at the community outside the community, look
Yeah.
at Kevin's suit today.
Well,
He has
yeah.
a pin on because he just got inducted into, tell him.
I was officially inducted today into the Riverside Township Lions Club.
So, you know, I mean, just getting the community
Yes.
word out there and talking to
Sure.
them.
No, I think there's, I'll put the communication header back on there, and I can look, I think I might even have one goal that relates similar to my contract that can talk about identifying communication initiatives, and we could just wordsmith it.
All right, anything else on goals?
Yeah, the other part, two things, Kevin. Somebody asked you a question on like English, it says percent. On AP equity and excellence, instead of saying 75% print, should it say percent and put like, if your goal's gonna be 75 in the table? So it's consistent.
What do you mean? What?
If you look at English ACT, I think Dan asked a question, benchmark. It just says percentage graduating class above 18. I presume you're gonna recommend some number to drop in the blank box under 2013, right? For the goal.
Yeah, the goal, we answered that already. The goal we said was to try to get everybody to 100% on those benchmarks.
Said 100%.
Because it would relate to the goal on top of the college readiness being 100%.
So we're not gonna say like, if we were 60, last year we were 85% on English, we're not gonna set a goal for 85% on English again?
I said it's 100, so I should just drop 100.
Oh, they're all 100, okay,
That's
whatever.
You see, that's
So
why they're kind of tabbed in.
The whole
because-
column is blank. You're going to recommend some numbers in this column, right?
No, in 2013, this will be a dashboard, then we will be reporting out as these come in and continue to track and report out. We said we were going to go with more of a dashboard model to show continuous growth.
Okay,
So we got rid of the whole target,
okay.
and that's why the goal's written.
All right, I got you.
So college readiness, we want 100% of our graduating class, so that's why we tabbed in like the ACT, the math, the reading,
Okay.
because they should be lining up to 100% as well.
It's not real clear. It'd probably be clear if it said 100%, because it just says a percent. It looks like you're waiting for
Okay.
feedback.
And then what would be the matriculation rate? There's no, is it supposed to say some percent?
We want 100% of the eligible cohort enrolling in a 2 or 4 year technical school or military.
Okay,
So I could add 100% on that.
okay. All right, so you'll fill in the rest of them
Yeah.
if they're not a sub. Okay, I got it.
Any other questions?